The chamber was massive, built to make smaller species feel insignificant. Ambassador Una Park stood at the center of the circular room, surrounded by the 5 seats of the Galactic Council. Each seat towered above her, carved from materials that humanity had no names for. The beings sitting in those seats had ruled the galaxy for over 10,000 years. Today, they were about to make their biggest mistake. The Varathian representative spoke first. His voice came through the translation device as a deep rumble. "Human, we have summoned you here to discuss the future of your species." Una kept her face neutral. She had been Earth's ambassador for 12 years. She knew how this game worked. "I'm listening." "Your expansion has become problematic," another council member said. This one was a Keltharian, its crystalline body refracting light in strange patterns. "In the past century, humanity has established 47 colony worlds. You have built a fleet of 6,000 warships. Your population grows at an alarming rate." "We've broken no laws," Una replied calmly. "Every colony was established in unclaimed space. Our fleet is within the limits set by the Council Charter. The letter of the law, perhaps," the Varathian said, "but not the spirit. You must understand that stability is essential. The younger races must accept their place in the natural order." There it was, the real reason for this meeting. Humanity was growing too fast, too strong. The old powers were afraid. A third council member leaned forward. "We have reached a decision. Humanity will reduce its military forces by 90% within 6 standard months. All colony worlds will accept council administration. Earth will remain autonomous, but under council observation." Una felt ice run through her veins. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a demand for surrender. "And if we refuse?" she asked. The Varathian's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "No species has ever refused the council. We have maintained peace in this galaxy for millennia. Those who threaten that peace are dealt with accordingly." Una looked up at each of the 5 council members. She thought about the millions of humans living on those colony worlds. Families who had built new lives on distant planets. Children born under alien stars who had never seen Earth. She thought about the fleet, crewed by brave men and women who had sworn to defend humanity. She thought about what her superiors had told her before this meeting. The words Admiral Hyan Choi had spoken in the secure communication just yesterday. "If they demand our surrender, you know what to say." Una straightened her shoulders. No, the chamber fell silent. For several long seconds, none of the council members moved. They seemed frozen in shock. "What did you say?" the Keltharian finally asked. "I said no," Una repeated, her voice clear and strong. "Humanity refuses your ultimatum. We will not dismantle our defenses. We will not surrender our colonies. We will not submit." The Varathian stood from his seat, his massive form towering over the chamber floor. "You dare defy this council? Do you have any idea what you've just done?" "I know exactly what I've done," Una said. "I've told you the truth. You asked us to choose between freedom and survival. We choose both." Another council member, one who had remained silent until now, spoke in a hissing voice. "Perhaps the human does not understand. We are not making a request. This is an order." "Then we refuse your order," Una said simply. The Varathian's eyes narrowed. "You are either very brave or very stupid. We will give you 1 month to reconsider. Discuss this with your leaders. Make them understand what defying the council means. When we next meet, we will expect your compliance." "You'll be disappointed," Una said. She turned and walked toward the chamber exit, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Behind her, she heard the council members begin to argue among themselves. Their voices rose in pitch and volume. They hadn't expected this. In 10,000 years, No one had ever simply said no. Humanity just had. 3 days later, Yuna stood in a secure conference room on Earth. Around the table sat the most powerful humans in the solar system. Admiral Hyan Choi, commander of Earth Defense Forces. General Kyung Bae, head of colonial military operations. Dr. Sora Kim, the brilliant scientist who ran humanity's most classified research programs. And a dozen others, all waiting to hear what happened at the council. "They're going to come for us," Yuna said without preamble. "Not immediately. They'll wait to see if we back down. But when we don't, they'll send a fleet." Admiral Hyan nodded slowly. He was a man in his 60s, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Where will they hit first?" "New Sejong," Yuna answered. "It's our largest colony, closest to council space. They'll want to make an example. How long do we have?" Asked Captain Min-ho Kong, who commanded the Deep Space Defense Fleet. He was younger than the admiral, but his reputation as a tactical genius had earned him a seat at this table. 1 month before they expect our answer. Maybe 2 more before they act. 3 months total, if we're lucky. Dr. Sora Kim spoke up. Her voice was quiet, but everyone listened when she talked. "Project Taeguk is ready. We've been preparing for this scenario for 30 years. Our ships have advantages the Council doesn't know about. Our weapons are based on principles their science hasn't discovered yet. Can we win?" General Kyung asked bluntly. Hyan looked around the table. "That depends on what you mean by win. Can we defeat them in battle?" "Yes, I believe we can." "Can we survive what comes after?" "That's the real question." "The Council has never been challenged," Minho said. "Their fleets are large, but they haven't fought a real war in centuries. They've grown comfortable. Lazy even. Meanwhile, humanity has spent the last 100 years studying every battle they've ever fought. We know their tactics, their strategies, their weaknesses. They outnumber us," someone pointed out. "Numbers aren't everything," Minho replied. "Ask any military historian what happened when technological superiority met numerical advantage. The technologically advanced side usually wins." Admiral Hyan stood. "We all knew this day might come. The Council has ruled through fear and intimidation for too long. They've kept the younger species down, controlled resources, limited expansion. They call it peace, but it's really just tyranny with better public relations." He looked at each person in the room. "I'm not going to lie to you. What we're about to do is dangerous. People will die. Maybe a lot of people. But if we surrender now, humanity will never be free. We'll spend the next 1,000 years as second-class citizens in our own galaxy. So what do we do?" Yuna asked. Hyan smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. "We show the Council what happens when you push humanity too far. We've been running simulations for decades. We have plans for this. Dr. Sora, begin full production on all Taeguk assets. Minho, move the Deep Space Fleet into position around New Sejong. Make it look routine, like a training exercise. General Kyung, put all colonial militias on alert, but keep it quiet." He paused. "And someone send a message to Commander Juzu Han at New Sejong. Tell her what's coming. Tell her to hold the line no matter what. The galaxy is about to learn something important." "What's that?" Yuna asked. "That humanity doesn't kneel," Admiral Hyan said quietly. "Not to anyone. Not ever." The meeting ended. People filed out, moving to their assigned tasks. The countdown had begun. In 3 months, maybe less, the Council would send their fleet. They expected an easy victory, a quick demonstration of power that would put humanity back in its place. They had no idea what was waiting for them in orbit above Earth. Massive shipyards worked day and night. New vessels slid from construction bays, their hulls containing technology that would shock the galaxy. In hidden facilities on a dozen worlds, weapons that shouldn't exist were being loaded onto ships. Soldiers trained in tactics the Council had never seen, and in the command center deep beneath Geneva, Admiral Hyan Choi looked at a star map showing every human world. Every ship, every asset humanity possessed. The pieces were moving into place. The game was beginning. The Council had pushed too far. Now they would learn what that meant. The Council fleet arrived at New Sejong, exactly when Admiral Hyan predicted they would. 300 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system, their formation perfect and intimidating. They had done this before, to dozens of species across thousands of years. Show overwhelming force, demand surrender, collect submission. Simple, effective, undefeated. Commander Jisoo Han watched them appear on her sensors. She sat in the command chair of Aegis Station, the primary defense platform orbiting New Sejong. Around her, 40 crew members worked at their stations. Nobody spoke. They all knew what was about to happen. "They're broadcasting," her communications officer said. "Put it through," Jisoo ordered. A holographic image appeared above the main display. The Vorathian fleet commander looked even larger and more intimidating than the Council representative Yuna had faced. His armored form filled the projection. "Human colony of New Sejong," the Vorathian said. "I am Primarch Vector, commander of the Council Enforcement Fleet. You have been declared in violation of Council authority. You will power down all defensive systems and prepare to receive occupation forces. You have 1 standard hour to comply. Resistance will be met with total destruction." The image cut off. Jisoo looked at her tactical officer. "How many ships do we have?" 12 frigates. They're taking position now. 12 ships against 300. The numbers were absurd. But Jisoo had her orders. More importantly, she understood what was at stake. If New Sejong fell without a fight, the Council would roll through every human colony one by one. Someone had to draw a line. "Send a message to the Primarch," she said calmly. "Tell him we refuse. Tell him if he wants this colony, he'll have to take it." Her executive officer looked at her. "Commander, they'll destroy us." "Maybe," Jisoo said. "Or maybe they'll learn something today." "Send the message." On the bridge of his flagship, Primarch Vector received the human response. He stared at it for a long moment, then began to laugh. His officers joined in. The idea that 12 tiny human ships would challenge the might of 300 Council warships was beyond ridiculous. "Very well," Vector said. "If they wish to die, we'll accommodate them. All ships, advance. Destroy the defense station and those pathetic frigates. Make it quick." The Council fleet began moving forward, their formation tight and professional. They had done this so many times it was almost boring. That's when everything went wrong. The human frigates didn't retreat or scatter like they should have. Instead, they accelerated directly toward the Council fleet, moving faster than any Council ship could match. Their drives burned with an intensity that shouldn't be possible. "Evasive maneuvers," Vector shouted, but it was too late. That the first human frigate punched through the Council formation like a bullet through paper. Its weapons fired at point-blank range, and Council shields simply collapsed. Railguns firing projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed tore through hulls, designed to withstand energy weapons. 3 Council cruisers exploded in the first pass. "What kind of weapons are those?" Vector's tactical officer screamed. Before anyone could answer, the human ships demonstrated another surprise. They changed direction with impossible speed, their inertial dampening technology far beyond anything the Council possessed. They wove through the Council formation, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted effectively. "Return fire," Vector ordered. "All ships target those humans." Thousands of energy beams lanced out. Most missed entirely. The few that connected with human ships were absorbed by shields that somehow redistributed the energy. The humans had studied Council weapons for a century and had built defenses specifically designed to counter them. A young technician named Doyan Lee was working frantically. At his station on Aegis, he had noticed something about the Council formation. Commander, their ships are too close together. They're designed for intimidation, not combat. If we target the central command ships, the formation will collapse. Aegis to all human vessels, Jisoo transmitted. Focus fire on the command cruisers. Grid reference Delta 4 through Delta 9. The human frigates responded instantly. Their coordination was perfect, too perfect. The Council didn't know that human ships were linked through quantum entanglement communication, sharing tactical data in real time with zero lag. Each ship knew what every other ship was doing at every moment. 12 frigates concentrated their fire on 6 command cruisers. The Council ships disappeared in balls of fire. Immediately, the Council formation began to break apart as subordinate ships lost coordination. Impossible. Vector roared. There are only 12 ships. We are 300. But the battle was already turning into a disaster. The human ships were simply too fast, too coordinated, too advanced. Every engagement tactic the Council tried had been war-gamed by human strategists years ago. Every weakness in Council technology had been mapped and exploited. Captain Minho Kang was watching from his flagship at the edge of the system. He had brought the Deep Space Defense Fleet, but he was under orders not to engage unless absolutely necessary. So far, Commander Jisoo was handling things perfectly. The Council ships are starting to panic, his tactical officer reported. They're breaking formation. Good, Minho said quietly. Once they stop acting like a fleet and start acting like individual ships, they're finished. Jisoo knows what she's doing. He was right. The battle that the Council expected to last minutes was stretching into hours. Every time the Vorathians tried to reform their fleet, human frigates would strike at the coordination points. Every time Council ships tried to corner a human vessel, it would simply outmaneuver them. The human ships had another advantage: their crews. While Council ships were crewed by species that had known peace for millennia, human crews had trained relentlessly for a war that might never come. Until today. 4 hours into the battle, Primarch Vector realized he was going to lose. His fleet of 300 warships had been reduced to fewer than 100 functional vessels. The humans had lost 3 frigates, but the remaining 9 were still fighting with the same intensity as when the battle began. Retreat, Vector ordered. All ships fall back to jump coordinates. But the humans weren't done. As Council ships tried to flee, human frigates pursued, picking off stragglers. By the time the survivors managed to jump to faster-than-light speed, only 47 Council ships remained. Commander Jisoo watched them go. Her station was damaged but intact. Of the 12 frigates she started with, 9 survived. Against 300 Council ships, that should have been impossible. "Get me a channel to Earth," she said quietly. "Admiral Hyan needs to know what happened here." The news spread across the galaxy within days. The Council tried to suppress it, but they couldn't. Too many ships had escaped New Sejong. Too many crew members had seen what happened. The story was too big to contain. The Invincible Council fleet had been destroyed by 12 human ships. In the Council chambers, the 5 ruling species gathered in emergency session. The Vorathian representative was furious, demanding immediate mobilization of their entire military to crush humanity. The Keltharian was more cautious, suggesting that perhaps they had underestimated the humans. "We need to understand what happened," one Council member said. "How did they defeat us so easily?" "They've been preparing," another replied. While we thought they were just building ships, they were studying us, learning our weaknesses, developing technology we don't have. Then we need more ships, the Varathian insisted. Send 1,000 vessels, 10,000 if necessary. Show them that numbers still matter. But some council members weren't so sure anymore. For the first time in 10,000 years, they had been challenged. For the first time in their long lives, they felt something they didn't recognize at first. Fear. On Earth. Admiral Hyan received Commander Jisu's report. He read it twice, then looked up at the people gathered in his command center. They did it, he said simply. Jisu held the line. The council fleet is broken. Captain Minho smiled. What now, sir? Admiral Hyan stood and walked to the star map display. He touched several points, highlighting council military installations, supply depots, and communication hubs. Now we don't wait for them to regroup, he said. Now we take the fight to them. We've proven we can win defensive battles. Time to show them we can attack too. He looked around the room. Send orders to all fleet commanders. Operation Taiguk enters Phase 2. We're going on the offensive. Dr. Sora Kim spoke up. Admiral, are you sure? Once we attack Council territory, there's no going back. This becomes a real war. It became a real war the moment they demanded our surrender, Hyan replied. We didn't start this, but we're going to finish it. The Council wanted to see what humanity is capable of when pushed too far. We're going to show them. Across human space, fleets began to move. Ships that had been waiting in hidden positions emerged from the darkness. Weapons that had been stockpiled for decades were loaded and armed. Soldiers boarded transports, ready to take the fight to an enemy that had never expected resistance. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson. Humanity had spent 100 years preparing for this moment. The Council had spent 10,000 years growing comfortable and complacent. Comfort was about to meet preparation, and preparation was going to win. Admiral Hyan Choi didn't believe in half measures. If humanity was going to war with the Council, then humanity needed to strike hard and strike everywhere at once. The Council expected species to fight defensively, protecting their worlds while Council fleets systematically destroyed them. Hyan was going to do the opposite. 12 targets, he said, pointing at the holographic star map. We hit them all simultaneously. Supply depots, communication relays, shipyards. Nothing that can fight back effectively, but everything they need to coordinate their fleets. Captain Minho Kong studied the map. It'll stretch us thin. We'll need to commit almost every ship we have. That's the idea, Hyan replied. The Council thinks in terms of their own military doctrine. They'll expect us to consolidate our forces, dig in around our colonies. They won't expect us to attack across a front that spans half the galaxy. Dr. Sora Kim nodded. My team has finished the quantum disruption field generators. Once we deploy them, Council forces won't be able to communicate faster than light. Each fleet will be isolated, blind to what's happening elsewhere. How long until they can adapt? Asked General Kyung Bae. Months, maybe years, Sora said. The technology is completely foreign to their science. They'll have to invent entirely new communication protocols. Hyan looked at the people gathered around the table. We have a small window. Once the Council realizes what we're doing, they'll pull their forces back to defend their core worlds. But for now, they're spread across the galaxy, bullying younger species and maintaining their empire. We're going to use that against them. 2 weeks later, human strike forces hit 12 Council installations at the same moment. The attacks were surgical and devastating. At each target, the story was the same. Council forces detected human ships, scrambled their defenses, and then discovered nothing worked the way it should. Their communications went dark. Their shields failed against weapons they'd never encountered. Their ships moved like they were stuck in mud, while human vessels danced around them. Colonel Narration led the assault on Terminus Station, the Council's largest military starbase in the Outer Rim. She stood in the boarding craft, with 200 soldiers behind her. Each wore powered exoskeletons that made them stronger and faster than any Council species. Each had neural implants that let them share tactical information instantly. "Remember the plan," Nari said over the company channel. "We're not here to kill everyone. We're here to take the station intact and capture their military database. Disable, don't destroy. But if they resist, put them down hard." The boarding craft latched onto Terminus Station's outer hull. Plasma cutters began burning through the armored exterior. 30 seconds later, they were through. Nari was first through the breach. Her exoskeleton let her move with impossible speed. She cleared the corridor in seconds, her weapon firing precision shots that disabled rather than killed. Behind her, her soldiers flowed through like water, each one covering different angles, each one perfectly coordinated with the others. The Council garrison outnumbered them 25-1. It didn't matter that the Keltharian guards had never fought an enemy like this. Their energy weapons were designed to overwhelm shields through sustained fire. But human armor didn't use shields. It used reactive plating that absorbed and redirected energy. And human soldiers didn't stand still long enough to be hit consistently. Nari's team moved through the station like ghosts. They appeared, disabled the defenders, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The neural linking meant every soldier knew where every other soldier was, what they were doing, where enemies were located. It was like fighting an opponent who could see the future. 90 minutes after the assault began, Colonel Narration stood on the command deck of Terminus Station. Around her, Keltharian officers sat with their hands secured, watching in shock as human technicians downloaded everything from the station's computers. "Tell your council," Nari said to the station commander, "that humanity tried peace. You chose war. This is what war with humanity looks like." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. At every target, Council forces were overwhelmed by technology and tactics they couldn't counter. Human forces struck with precision, took what they needed, and disappeared before Council fleets could respond. But the most important part of the operation wasn't the attacks themselves. It was what Dr. Sora Kim and her protege, Seojeon Park, were doing while everyone else was focused on the battles. They were deploying the Stellar Veil. Seojeon watched from the stealth ship as the automated platform finished deploying around the Varathian homeworld. It was one of 50 such platforms being positioned around the 5 Council species' most important planets. "Platform 7 is active," he reported to Dr. Sora. "All systems nominal." "Good." Sora's voice came back over the secure channel. "That's the last one around Varathia. Move to the next target." The platforms were small, no larger than a human fighter craft. But each one contained a compact gravitational manipulation system that could, if activated, create an artificial singularity. A black hole. The platforms weren't weapons, not really. They were a deterrent, a message. If the Council tried to destroy humanity, humanity could destroy them in return. Mutual destruction. The ancient human doctrine that had prevented nuclear war on Earth for centuries. "Do you think they'll realize what we've done?" Seojeon asked. "Eventually," Sora replied, "but not yet. They're too focused on the attacks, too busy trying to figure out how we're beating them. By the time they understand what the Stellar Veil is, it'll be too late to stop us." Back on Earth, Admiral Hyan received reports from all 12 strike forces. Every mission had succeeded. Terminus Station captured. Supply depot at Kelthver destroyed. Shipyards at Vraxis disabled. Communication hub at Polter taken offline. "The Council is in chaos," his intelligence officer reported. Their faster-than-light communications are completely disrupted. Individual fleet commanders are making decisions without coordination. Some are pulling back to defend important systems. Others are trying to hunt our strike forces. Nobody seems to be in charge. Minho entered the command center, fresh from his ship. "Sir, we've intercepted Council military transmissions. They're arguing about how to respond. The Vorathians want to launch an all-out assault on Earth. The Keltharians are calling for negotiation. The other Council species are split." "Good," Hyun said. "A divided enemy is a defeated enemy. How long until they can reorganize?" "Weeks at minimum," Minho replied. "Maybe months. We've degraded their command structure severely." But Hyun wasn't satisfied yet. Not enough. "We need to make them understand that continuing this war will cost them everything." "Dr. Sora, are the Stellar Veil platforms ready?" Sora's holographic image appeared. "All 50 platforms are in position and active. We can demonstrate at your command." "Do it," Hyun ordered. "Pick one of their minor colonies, somewhere with minimal population. Show them what we can do." 6 hours later, every major power in the galaxy watched in horror as a small council colony on the edge of Vorathian space was surrounded by human platforms. The platforms activated their gravitational systems, creating a miniature black hole that lasted for exactly 3 seconds before shutting down. 3 seconds was enough. The demonstration was clear. Admiral Hyun broadcast a message to every planet in Council space. His image appeared on billions of screens across hundreds of worlds. "People of the Galactic Council," he said, his voice calm and steady. "Humanity did not want this war. We asked only to be left alone, to grow and prosper in peace. Your council demanded our submission. We refused. You sent fleets to subjugate us. We destroyed them." He paused, letting that sink in. "What you just witnessed was a demonstration. We have placed automated defense platforms around every major council world. Each platform can create the gravitational effect you just saw. We do not want to use them. We would prefer peace. But if you force us to choose between your survival and ours, we will choose ours." Another pause. "We are not asking for your surrender. We are offering you a choice. End this war. Negotiate a real peace, one based on equality and respect. Or continue fighting and discover that humanity can hurt you far worse than you ever imagined." The broadcast ended. In the council chambers, the 5 species looked at each other. The Vorathian representative was trembling with rage. The Keltharians seemed to be calculating odds. The others simply looked afraid. "They're bluffing," the Vorathian said. "They wouldn't dare destroy entire worlds. Are you willing to bet your homeworld on that?" The Keltharian asked quietly. Nobody answered. The truth was becoming clear. The Council had pushed humanity too far, and humanity had responded with a level of violence and strategic thinking that the Council couldn't match. The younger species had studied the ancient ones, learned from them, and built weapons specifically designed to counter them. And now those weapons were pointed at the Council's heart. "We need to negotiate," one council member said. "Never." The Vorathian roared. "We cannot show weakness." "We already have," the Keltharian replied. "The question now is whether we're wise enough to admit it before humanity demonstrates their full capability." But the Vorathian Empire wasn't ready to accept defeat. Their pride wouldn't allow it. They had ruled the galaxy for millennia, crushing anyone who challenged them. They weren't going to bow to a species that had only been in space for a few centuries. The Vorathian military began mobilizing in secret. If the Council wouldn't act, the Vorathians would. They would gather every ship they had, every soldier, every weapon. They would strike at the human homeworld and end this threat permanently. 2,000 warships. The largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. All heading for one target. Earth. Human intelligence detected the fleet mobilization within hours. Admiral Hyon received the report and smiled grimly. "They're going to attack Earth directly," he said. "They think if they destroy our homeworld, humanity will collapse." "Do we pull our forces back?" General Kyung asked. Hyon shook his head. "No, we trust our defenses. We trust our technology. And we trust Captain Minho to do his job." Minho nodded. "The Vorathians are about to learn why attacking Earth is the worst mistake they've ever made. The trap was set. The Vorathian fleet was coming. And humanity was ready. The Vorathian Empire was done negotiating. Primarch Vector, humiliated by his defeat at New Sejong, had convinced his government that only total destruction of Earth would restore their honor. 2,000 warships represented nearly the entire Vorathian military fleet. It was the largest armada ever assembled by a single species. They were confident. Humans might have fancy technology and clever tactics, but surely they couldn't stand against such overwhelming force. The Vorathians would reduce Earth to ash, and the other council species would fall in line. Once they saw what happened to those who defied the old order, Captain Minho Kong stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the sensor displays. The Vorathian fleet would arrive in 6 hours. His deep space defense fleet was ready, hidden in quantum stealth positions around Earth's outer system. But Minho knew the real battle wouldn't be won by his ships alone. Status on planetary defenses? He asked his tactical officer. "All systems ready, sir. Orbital platforms online. Ground-based weapons at full charge. The new defensive grid is active." Minho nodded. For decades, humanity had been building Earth's defenses, always knowing that someday someone might try exactly what the Vorathians were attempting. The planet was surrounded by layers of protection that no one outside of Earth's military command fully understood. On Earth's surface, Commodore Minji Huang supervised the final preparations. She commanded Earth's orbital defense network, and she was about to prove that attacking humanity's homeworld was suicide. "How many platforms do we have operational?" she asked. 15,000, her second-in-command replied, each one equipped with the new weapon systems. "The Vorathians won't know what hit them." Minji allowed herself a small smile. "Let's make sure of that." 6 hours later, the Vorathian fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Primarch Vector looked at the blue planet on his display and felt satisfaction. This was where humanity had started. This was where humanity would end. "All ships, advance in formation," he ordered. "Destroy every human ship you encounter. When we reach Earth, we bombard until nothing remains." The massive fleet began moving forward, their formation perfect and intimidating. They detected some human ships, maybe 100 vessels total. Pathetic resistance against 2,000 Vorathian warships. "Engage and destroy," Vector commanded. That's when Captain Minho revealed his first surprise. The 100 ships the Vorathians detected weren't real. They were drones, sophisticated decoys, designed to draw the enemy fleet into a specific position. The Vorathian ships opened fire on the drones, destroying them easily. Vector frowned. Something felt wrong. "Sir, we're detecting energy signatures from multiple locations," his tactical officer reported. "Ships are decloaking all around us." Minho's deep space fleet dropped their quantum stealth camouflage. 300 warships appeared from nowhere, surrounding the Vorathian formation. "All ships weapons-free," Minho ordered calmly. "Target their command vessels first." The human fleet opened fire with coordinated precision. Railguns fired streams of projectiles at relativistic speeds. Energy weapons that operated on frequencies the Vorathians had never encountered burned through their shields. And the newest addition to humanity's arsenal, plasma lances that could cut through ship hulls like they were made of paper. The Vorathians tried to return fire, But Minho's ships were never where the Varathians expected them to be. Human vessels moved with impossible agility, their advanced drives allowing maneuvers that would kill the crew of any council ship through sheer acceleration. But Minho's fleet was just the first layer of defense. As the Varathians pushed deeper into the solar system, trying to reach Earth despite their losses, they encountered Commodore Minji's orbital platforms, 15,000 automated defense stations, each one carrying weapons that humanity had spent decades developing. The platforms activated simultaneously. Energy beams crisscrossed space, creating a web of destruction. Missile swarms launched from hidden positions, each missile equipped with guidance systems that could track and predict enemy movements. And the truly terrifying weapons, gravitational disruptors that could tear ships apart by creating localized distortions in spacetime. Vector watched in growing horror as his fleet was systematically destroyed. They had barely made it halfway to Earth, and already he'd lost over 500 ships. "This is impossible," he shouted. "How can one species have this much firepower?" His tactical officer provided the answer, though Vector didn't want to hear it. "Sir, they've been preparing for this. Every weapons system, every defensive position, it's all designed specifically to counter our technology. They knew we were coming. They knew exactly how we'd attack." On Earth, Admiral Hyon watched the battle unfold with satisfaction. The Varathians are learning an expensive lesson. You don't attack an enemy's homeworld unless you're absolutely certain you can win. But the battle was far from over. Despite horrific losses, the Varathians kept pushing forward. Their pride wouldn't let them retreat. Vector ordered his remaining ships to form a tight formation and punch through the human defenses at any cost. That it was the worst decision he could have made. Dr. Sora Kim had been waiting for this moment. When the Varathian ships clustered together, she activated her masterpiece, a weapon that existed more in theoretical physics papers than in practical application. Until now. "Quantum disruption field online," she reported to Admiral Hyon, targeting the Varathian fleet core. Space itself seemed to twist around the Varathian ships. The quantum field disrupted the fundamental forces holding matter together at the subatomic level. For exactly 3 seconds, the laws of physics in that region of space changed. 200 Varathian ships simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not damaged. They ceased to be, converted into elementary particles that dispersed harmlessly. The remaining Varathian fleet broke. Total rout. Ships scattered in every direction, trying desperately to escape to faster-than-light speed. But humanity wasn't letting them go. That easily. Captain Minho's fleet pursued, picking off stragglers. The orbital platforms continued firing on any ship that came within range. And small fighter craft, crewed by pilots with neural implants that let them react faster than any biological being should be able to, hunted down fleeing Varathians. Primarch Vector's flagship was surrounded. His shields were failing. His weapons were offline. His crew was dead or dying. Minho's ship pulled alongside. A voice came over the communication channel. "Varathian vessel, this is Captain Minho Kong of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your ship is disabled. Your fleet is destroyed. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to the laws of war." Vector slumped in his command chair. He had brought 2,000 ships to destroy Earth. Fewer than 300 would escape. The pride of the Varathian Empire was shattered. "We surrender," he said quietly. The Battle of Earth lasted 14 hours. It was the largest space engagement in recorded history. And it was a complete human victory. In the aftermath, boarding parties from Earth's Marines secured Vector's flagship. The Primarch was taken into custody and brought before Admiral Hyon via holographic communication. "You've lost," Hyon said simply. "Your fleet is destroyed. Your empire's military power is broken. The question now is what happens next. Vector said nothing. Humanity didn't want this war, Hyan continued. We wanted to be left alone. We wanted to build our colonies, raise our families, explore the stars in peace. Your council demanded our submission. You personally led fleets to subjugate us. And now you've paid the price. The admiral leaned forward. But we're not like you. We don't believe in grinding defeated enemies into dust. We believe in something your council forgot about thousands of years ago. We believe in justice, not revenge. He paused. You will be treated well. Your crew will receive medical attention. Your wounded will be cared for. And when this war is over, you will all be returned to your people. We want you to tell them what you've learned here today. What lesson is that? Vector asked bitterly. That humanity is strong enough to destroy you, but wise enough not to. That we fight for freedom, not conquest. That we could become the new tyrants of this galaxy, but we choose not to. Remember that, Primarch. Remember it well. Across the galaxy, species that had been watching the conflict in secret were stunned by what happened at Earth. The Council's strongest military power had been crushed, not by another ancient species, but by newcomers who'd only been in space for barely over a century. The political implications were enormous, while Admiral Hyan was dealing with Vector. A younger human diplomat named Taiyang Yun was making contact with moderate council species. He had been working in secret for weeks, opening communication channels with those who were tired of the council's tyranny. The Vorathians are defeated, Taiyang told representatives from 3 council species who had agreed to secret talks. The question is whether the rest of the council wants to follow them into destruction, or whether you're ready to discuss a real peace. The Keltharian representative spoke carefully. What kind of peace? The kind where all species are equal, Taiyang replied. Where younger races aren't kept down because the old ones fear competition. Where disputes are settled through negotiation, not intimidation. Where the galaxy is governed by laws that apply to everyone, not just the convenient targets. The Vorathians will never accept such terms, another alien said. The Vorathians don't have a choice anymore, Taiyang responded. Their fleet is gone. Their ability to project power is finished. They can accept the new reality, or they can be left behind while the rest of the galaxy moves forward. The secret negotiations continued for days. Some council species were ready to negotiate. Others, particularly those who had benefited most from the old system, resisted, but the balance had shifted. Humanity had proven it could win wars. Now it needed to prove it could win the peace. Admiral Hyan sent a message to every world in council space. It was broadcast on every channel, translated into every language. People of the galaxy, the war that the council started is over. Humanity has won. But we take no joy in victory, because victory always comes with a cost. Too many have died on both sides. Too much has been destroyed. We fought because we were forced to fight. We won because we were better prepared. But we don't want to rule you. We don't want to replace the council with a human empire. We want something better. Something that's never existed in this galaxy before. We want a true alliance of equals, where every species, young or old, has a voice. Where might doesn't make right. Where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. Where the galaxy's resources and opportunities are shared fairly. This is humanity's offer. This is our vision for the future. You can join us in building it, or you can cling to the old ways that led to this war. The choice is yours. The message ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings considered their options. The old order was dead. The question was what would replace it. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. Ambassador Una Park stood in what used to be the council chambers, looking at the empty seats that had once held the galaxy's most powerful beings. Those seats would remain empty. The new galactic government wouldn't be based on a handful of species, ruling over everyone else. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Earth. In that time, diplomat Taiyang Yun had been working tirelessly to bring together representatives from every spacefaring species in the galaxy. Not just the council races and humanity, but the dozens of younger species who had been kept powerless for millennia. Today was the first meeting of what humanity was calling the Galactic Alliance. The chamber had been redesigned. Instead of 5 elevated seats looking down on everyone else, there were hundreds of seats arranged in a circle. Every species equal. Every voice heard. Yuna watched as representatives filed in. She saw Keltharians, their crystalline bodies reflecting light in beautiful patterns. She saw Varathians, fewer than before and noticeably subdued. She saw species she'd never met before, races that had been too insignificant for the council to notice. Admiral Hyon Choi sat in the human delegation. Though he'd made it clear, he wanted nothing to do with politics. "I'm a soldier, not a diplomat," he'd told Yuna, but she'd insisted he be present. The galaxy needed to see that humanity's military leaders supported the peace. Captain Nino Kong was there too, representing the new Joint Species Peacekeeping Fleet. In a surprising turn of events, several council species had agreed to contribute ships to a unified defense force. One that wouldn't be used for conquest or intimidation, but for actual peacekeeping. Dr. Sora Kim attended as well, though she would have preferred to be back in her lab. She had work to do. The quantum disruption field. Technology that had won the war could be adapted for peaceful purposes. Communication, medicine, transportation, science. That could benefit everyone. The meeting began with a simple question, posed by the Keltharian representative. "Why should we trust you? You defeated us in war. You have the power to rule us. Why would you choose not to?" Yuna stood to answer. "Because ruling you is never our goal. Humanity has seen what happens when those with power abuse it. In our own history, empires rose and fell. Strong nations conquered weak ones. And every time, it ended in suffering." She looked around the chamber. "We learned from our mistakes. We discovered that cooperation is stronger than domination. That diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. That the best way to ensure our own freedom is to protect everyone else's freedom too." "Pretty words," a Varathian delegate said bitterly. "But you have weapons that can destroy entire worlds. You have technology we can't match. How do we know you won't use that power against us?" Admiral Hyon stood up. "You don't. You have to trust us. And we have to trust you. That's what peace means. It's not about certainty. It's about choosing to believe in something better." He paused. "But if you want proof of our intentions, here it is. Humanity is offering to share our technology. Not our weapons, but everything else. Medical advances, agricultural improvements, energy generation, transportation systems. We'll help you build better lives for your people." "And what do you want in return?" the Varathian asked suspiciously. "For you to do the same," Hyon replied. "The council species have technologies we don't have, knowledge we haven't discovered. Share it. All of us working together can accomplish more than any of us could alone." The chamber fell silent. This was the moment. Either the galaxy would embrace this new vision, or everything humanity had fought for would fall apart. It was Dr. Sora who made the difference. She stood and addressed the assembly. "I'm a scientist. I deal in facts and evidence. Here's a fact. Humanity spent 100 years preparing for war with the Council. We studied your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses. We built weapons specifically designed to defeat you. But here's another fact. we spent just as much time studying your scientific achievements. Your medical knowledge has saved human lives. Your engineering principles helped us build better ships. Your agricultural techniques feed our colonies. We didn't just prepare to fight you. We prepared to learn from you. She looked directly at the Vorathian delegate. Your people discovered faster-than-light travel 2,000 years before humanity existed. You've explored more of this galaxy than we'll see in our lifetimes. You have knowledge worth sharing. Don't throw that away because of wounded pride. The Vorathians stood slowly. Our fleet is destroyed. Our power is broken. We've lost everything that made us great. No, Sora said firmly. You've lost the ability to bully others. But you haven't lost your knowledge, your culture, your accomplishments. Those things made you great. The military power just made you feared. There's a difference. Something shifted in the chamber. Yuna could feel it. The mood was changing. Species that had come prepared to resist were starting to listen. Taiyan Yun took his turn to speak. The Galactic Alliance we're proposing won't be perfect. There will be disagreements. There will be conflicts. But we'll resolve them through discussion and compromise, not through threats and violence. We're creating a new charter. Every species that joins will have equal representation. Decisions will be made by vote, not by the decree of the powerful. And there will be protections for smaller species, to prevent them from being overwhelmed by larger ones. Over the next 3 days, the Assembly debated every aspect of the proposed alliance. Some species wanted more power. Others wanted more protection. Humans facilitated the discussions, but didn't dominate them. Yuna made sure that every voice was heard, even those who opposed the whole idea. On the 4th day, the vote came. 147 species voted to join the Galactic Alliance. Only 12 refused, mostly hardline factions from the old Council species who couldn't accept their reduced status. It was enough. The Alliance was born. Admiral Haiyan watched the celebration from the sidelines. Captain Minho joined him. "Congratulations, Admiral. You won the peace." "We all did," Haiyan replied. "Though I'm glad my part is almost over. As soon as the joint peacekeeping fleet is operational, I'm retiring. Let younger people handle the galaxy. I'm too old for this." Minho smiled. "Who's going to lead the peacekeeping fleet?" "You are," Haiyan said. "If you want the job. You've got the skills, the experience, and the temperament for it. Me? Leading ships from a dozen different species? Who better? You understand different fighting styles, different technologies, different ways of thinking. And you've proven you can win without destroying everything around you. That's what peacekeeping requires." Minho considered it. What if some species refused to cooperate? What if the old Council factions tried to restart the war? "Then you deal with it," Haiyan said. "But I don't think they will. They've learned the lesson. Humanity isn't special because we're stronger or smarter. We're special because we're willing to change, to adapt, to try new things. The Council species spent thousands of years doing things the same way. That made them predictable, beatable. And now we teach them to change too. Some will learn. Some won't. But enough will, and that'll be enough to make this work." Dr. Sora Kim announced her next project a week later. She was forming a joint species research institute. Scientists from every Alliance member could collaborate on projects that benefited everyone. The first initiative would be medical technology to combat diseases that affected multiple species. "Imagine what we can accomplish," she told the press conference. "Humans thinking about problems in ways aliens never considered. Aliens approaching challenges with perspectives humans never imagined. Together, we'll make breakthroughs that none of us could achieve alone." Commander Jisoo Han, the hero of New Seishang, took on a new role. She became an instructor at the Alliance Naval Academy, teaching officers from different species how to work together. Her first class included humans, Keltharians, and even a few young Vorathians who wanted to learn from the species that had defeated them.